to see if anyone else is going to join, because it's just got to 12:30, and see a few more on. But yeah, let's just hang on, because I think folk might join over the next minute or so. Okay, right. So great. Well, welcome to this week's report out. Couple of presentations that I'm looking forward to. So firstly on the undergraduate placements in pharmacy from Jake, and then the IPC Improvement Board from Lynn and Vicky. We'll take questions at the end as usual. So Jake, I can see you on the call. Can we come over to you? And
of course, yeah. I'm just trying to get my camera on. There we go. Oops, can I start anytime now?
Yep, anytime.
Right, cracking. So my name's Jake Mills. I'm an advanced clinical pharmacist working in the CSU Medicines Management and Pharmacy Services. I'm working a couple of days a week doing a project this year looking at expanding undergraduate placements across Yorkshire in secondary care, as well as working clinically in medicine, in A&E respiratory acute medicine. So what is the problem and challenge with regards to undergraduate placements in pharmacy? So I'm probably going to tell you something hopefully new here, but it'd be nice if people were aware. So in 2021, the General Pharmaceutical Council, our regulatory body for pharmacists, announced some massive changes to how pharmacists train in the UK. And a massive part of that is by 2026, so in 2 years' time, every pharmacist who enters the register will be an independent prescriber at the point of registration. So that is the same as a medic, pretty much. Previously, pharmacists would have to wait about 2 to 3 years post registration and do an independent prescribing course to become an independent prescriber. The vast majority of pharmacists that you guys will see out and about on the shop floor in secondary care will be prescribers, but that's quite uncommon outside of hospital practice, but it's slowly changing. So massive changes nationally for pharmacy, okay? And with that comes some other issues. So the pharmacy degree, historically, and still to an extent today, is classed as a science degree and not a healthcare degree, okay? And that's had some implications in terms of access to bursary, NHS money, amongst other things, because a lot of pharmacists will obviously practice in the private sector and or industry historically. So because of that, pharmacy students, believe it or not, this might be new information to you, before this year, spent 1 day on placement in a hospital per year of their academic studies. And they often didn't do that even in their first year. So the pharmacy degree is 4 years, and they might spend 3 days throughout their whole degree in a hospital, which is quite alarming when in 2 years we want these people to be prescribers. So I have been looking at trying to expand pharmacy undergraduate placements in Yorkshire this year, and my few slides are just going to be about specifically here at LTHT. Next slide, please. So some of the actions that I have done is main focus is trying to increase placements here at LTHT, which we did this academic year. Okay, I used driver diagrams and help from the Leeds improvement method to assess the impact this was going to have on our services, about increasing student numbers in clinical environments. And I use PDSA cycles to assess some changes. So this project is massive. So I had to sort of break this down in getting IT access, and also we have something called EPAs, which I think are in other professions called entrustable professional activities, which is about getting pharmacists from, instead of watching me do something when they're on placement for one day, getting them to actually do things when they're on award. What didn't go so well is getting some sort of quantitative metrics, but I did use surveys for staff and students. And I engaged my team through some lunchtime teaching sessions where over 70 people attended. Next slide, please. So the outcome was this academic year, we took students from a new university, Huddersfield. We increased placement numbers from 33 days last academic year to 163 days the academic year just finished. And we are expanding further next year. Student satisfaction was very high, 95% stating their placement went very well, and 100% of students who did something called an entrustable professional activity felt that this made them feel as though they contributed to patient care. And we also got them read-only IT access, so they could access drug charts, but staff within our department and hospital felt that having this student burden did have a negative impact on service delivery. Next slide, please. So what went well? The LIM resource is very useful to breaking down this work. What I have done here at Leeds has helped me create a guide, which you can see on the right hand side there, the picture, to all secondary care providers in the region, all NHS acute trusts, to help them try expand their pharmacy undergraduate placements with limited resources. So pharmacy get less NHS clinical tariff money than any other healthcare profession, and they also get less clinical tariff money centrally than Wales and Scotland. So I am working with a group of people within the region to try and influence the sort of national opinion on this, and hoping to potentially write a letter to the government as well. Next slide, please. So what would we do differently? I'd maybe look at doing some timed observations. That's some LIM tools that I didn't use. And my main learning was the importance of stakeholder identification and bringing people along with me on this journey. And yeah, the next steps are to use this to help others in the region and help people nationally with this big project. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Jake. Really good, and really good to see the progress against a really important national initiative and use of the method around that. So hold questions or comments for Jake, if you would, and we will move on to Lynn and Vicky to tell us about the IPC Improvement Board.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lynn Hatfield. I'm one of the senior infection prevention practitioners. Unfortunately, Vicky can't attend today, so it's just me, I'm afraid. So our project was to review our improvement board. So my colleagues had attended the Leeds improvement methodology, and we'd looked at the safety huddle, and we'd looked at our production board, and we removed any sort of waste and made sure that there were value added timings for the production board and the safety huddle. And it just seemed sensible that the next project that we looked at was to look at our improvement board. So previously we did have an improvement board, we called it the People Link board, and it looked at our work streams and gave a traffic light system. But what we found is there was quite often they were in red, they were not constructive for the team, they weren't team directed also. So we looked at the improvement board. Next slide, please. So we start off with 5S. What could we look at? Sort, simplify, sweep, trying to standardise what we wanted to see. We also did some detailed time observations, but from the production board to see what from the production board could we move over and look at the safety huddle. We arranged weekly meetings. We use a PDSA cycle that we've reviewed after each meeting. We started off with the template provided from the KPO team, as you can see there, and it progressed so that eventually it flowed really well. So you can see where we started, all the ideas on the board on that first slide. Next slide, please. So we did use Katie, the KPO team. Thank you so much, Katie. We also looked at other areas where they had looked at their improvement board. We went on their Gemba walk. They used Trello, and these were all electronic versions and seemed to also incorporate production boards, so it was like an all-in-one. And we did have a team discussion about what would we actually adapt that, but at the end we decided we continue with the face-to-face meetings separately and weekly. Although we were a small team, we were trying to put everything on the improvement board. And after meeting with Katie, she helped us realise that we need to focus on one or two things every week, prioritise, look at the quick wins and focus on where we can add value. Next slide, please. So our goal, as I said, the outcome was that the improvement board, it provided us a method of communication for current priorities and identified team progress. I said that twice, I'm so sorry. We used a RAG system for the metrics. So we have, I'll show you at the end anyway, we have a list of metrics, and then it flows really well. Using the RAG rate, and we also have little magnets to add each week. So I'm really pleased with our daily staff well-being. So we it's like a quiz set. So we grade how we're feeling on that day, 1 to 5, and we add any comments. So we can celebrate that we've had a good day. We can celebrate our achievements. We can feel if the morale is low, and we can act on any comments given. We look at customer feedback because the patient's at the centre of whatever we do, and we discuss if there's any ideas, what we can come up that we can put into action for the improvement board. Next slide, please. So what went well? We engaged the team. We used the visual aids. It helped with the flow of the board, the Gemba walk and the KPO support. And the process looks at how we're doing with the team. So initially, our ambition was that it was 30 minutes. And because of discussions and things, it was taking like an hour at start, but we now complete that within 30 minutes. But yesterday we were so succinct, it was over in 22 minutes. So a little bit of time back there for us. Next slide. So you can see it's still very much work in progress. It is a little bit tidier than this at the moment, but we have lots of ideas in action and ideas in progress, and we focus on which are the main ones for that to focus on for that week. And you can see the celebration poster and the little magnets there, and this is our daily staff wellbeing poster. And we also daily look at how we feel as a team at the production board, and that is collected over the month. That's that space there, collected over the month, and we see at the end of the month what percentage was it good, the feeling for the team for that month. Next slide, please. So what would we do differently? So they were initially quite a few mental valleys. We weren't quite sure how to take our improvement board, what we needed on it. So we put everything on it, and we're still working through some of the things from there. Next slide, please. I think that's everything. Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic, thank you, Lynn. Really great work, and good to see some metrics there, and from really good to just keep people going through the sort of inertia first phase, which we know is very common. But well done for sticking with it and getting the board and keeping developed, and obviously some real impacts. And actually, for both Jake and Lynn, thank you. A lot of stuff about the importance of bringing people with you when you're trying to do this kind of work, because actually that's what makes the change and actually makes it stick. So well done to both. Thank you for those. Let's open it out for comments and questions, please. James. You're just on mute there, James.
Apologies. Thank you both. Great presentations. Lynn, I loved your improvement board, and particularly the section on where do we need your ideas, and how we're turning together those ideas into action. I think it's a really simple prompt, but what's really important is that you're trying different things out to solve the issues that your team are dealing with on a daily basis, and that's a core principle of the improvement method, and it's great to see it represented on the board there.
James.
That was great. They were both brilliant, and mine's not dissimilar actually. To what James has just said, Lynn, I really love the composition of your board. It's not the things that you've got on there, I think, are a really lovely balance and have grown up from what I could understand from your report out, from the things that are important to the team and that the team want to focus on at the minute. So I really like the composition. I love that there's data in there, but I also love that there's the sort of the emotional element of just what's your well-being score today. I just thought that was the lovely composition. And Jake, I really like that you brought the sort of the improvement method to managing the undergrad pharmacy piece. I think you said that you were able to share this with others trying to manage this process outside of LTHT, and I just wondered, often people aren't very good at receiving other people's best practice, because we sort of sometimes like to do it ourselves and work it out ourselves. Have people adopted it, Jake, elsewhere?
They have, because they know this is coming quite quickly. So because this is a big national thing, everyone sort of appreciates that this is in the best interest of the profession. The only pushback is resource and its impact on service, and the financial impact some of this has. But there's an awful lot of goodwill. So, people can say no to doing this, essentially, providers. So people are sort of taking it on board as goodwill, which is a positive. Pharmacy are normally fairly good at doing things like that instead of asking for more money all the time. But yeah, we need a bit of both, I think.
Well done for the scale up. I think we often talk about scale up within the organisation, but great to be scaling it up outside the organisation. Well done.
Great. Okay. Any other questions? I just had another for Lynn, just in terms of great to see the metrics around the kind of the kind of time to take your kind of assessment rounds. Are you hoping you'll then have an impact on against our annual commitment around the 15% reduction in HCAI? Have you ambitions around that?
Yes, absolutely. So we've got the 5 work streams there that are shared amongst the trust. So the isolation, decolonisation, invasive devices, those work streams. So we are looking at those and all of the other 7 commitments actually. So what's come out of the improvement board is that actually created other work streams and meetings where we look at specific things more thoroughly and have sort of task and finish action groups from those. So yeah, lots of work streams around 7 commitments.
Great, brilliant, good to hear. Thanks, Lynn. Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. It was a question for you, Jake. But I equally, applaud Lynn on the work that they're doing in IPC. But Jake, I was intrigued by your comment around the impact on service delivery, and whether that, firstly, I suppose, whether that was an expected or unexpected consequence of the work that you're doing, and is that something that you've begun to think about in terms of how you might move that on? Because clearly that's a real issue, isn't it? As a result of this shift in more on-site working for students, and clearly that comes with huge benefits. I know from when I was working on the wards, having people coming with new ideas really brings a lot of energy to the team. So there are obviously all of those other benefits that you get, but how do you think you might be able to mitigate that?
A very good question. And yeah, I think it is something we were anticipating. So yeah, previously having a pharmacy student in a hospital for 1 day a year, we've got quite a long way to go before they can contribute to some ward service delivery. You see a medical student and a nursing student on the ward, and they're doing teas and coffees, they're helping with the medicine round, they're talking to relatives when maybe the nurse might not have time because of how stretched they are. And we are quite far away from that in pharmacy land. And a lot of our work on the ward isn't in those sort of care settings as such. And it's trying to move towards that, and it will take a bit of time. But yeah, next year we're going to see a lot of pharmacy students in the building who are with us on week-long placements. That's still very short in comparison to medicine and nursing, but we are building those things up so they can try contribute to service delivery. But this is a probably years thing instead of immediate impact, and a big culture shift takes a long time. But yeah, that is our aim, but it is going to be slow, and it will impact service in the short term, and we do sort of have to be a little bit honest about that.
Can I just follow up, Phil, if you don't mind? It was just, I'm guessing as the students themselves get more familiar with working in a hospital as well, that will help.
Yeah.
And hopefully, allow them to feel like they're making a more significant contribution, because that will help with their own feeling of that they're actually making a difference and contributing as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And I guess on that, just making sure we've got all the right kind of publicity, I suppose, around all of this for the organisation, whatever we can do to try and help Jake, yourself and colleagues around making sure that this can land as kind of smoothly as it can, because as you say, it is going to be a bit of a culture change, but it's important that we help the organisation through that and get off to the right start. So do reach out, anything that we can do to try and communicate that or talk about it more widely, I think is quite important. Okay, brilliant.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so thank you, Jake and Lynn. I can't see anyone else with their hand up wanting to come in. So thank you again. 2 great presentations. Again, great work, great demonstration of method, and great to see a lot of focus on our people and thinking about how we put them at the centre of how we're doing our improvement. So well done to both, and we'll bring a report out to a close. Thanks, folks.
Well done,
Thank you.
folks.